everyone, week 6 of the rundown is here. It's just me and Cam tonight. Jamie's off doing some Qatari stuff. SJ's probably doing some Qatari stuff. Qatari show. We are funded by Qatar. Be nice, wouldn't it? Instead, like I've got a background that will probably fall over in the southwest wind. So yeah,
I'm in my attic.
Yeah, wasn't my attic. There's a joke in there, but I won't make it because we're trying to. Because get this, we're trying to stay monetized.
We're monetized?
No, definitely not. Let's be honest. Yep. So week 6 is in the books. Won't lie, a pretty by the by sort of week in uni ball. 9 out of the 19 games that were played were shutouts, and then obviously some were called off due to the weather. You know, as far as I'm concerned, Div 2, there's some great score lines, but nothing that really pushes any sort of narrative about who's going where. Obviously, up in the northern one, Uclan versus Northumbria, finishing 26-13 to the Mustangs, and then obviously Coventry are on a winning streak. Can you believe that? I cannot believe. I'm all here for it, Coventry, but I can't believe that Coventry are on a win streak, and then you've got like Uclan who now aren't. So mental. It's hilarious. But yeah, so Tebs here and Cam, we're going to go through this week, look at next week, because there's only 2 weeks left of the first half of the season. Is that right?
Yeah, technically 2. I'm not sure how many games are actually being played on the 15th of December, though.
Is there actually games scheduled for the? Ew, no way.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I know that you guys did last year because we went and did that one.
Yeah.
On my birthday, which was.
But
I'd put it wouldn't be surprised. Just like there have been a few, but I don't know where. I think people were expecting more walkovers than there were this week, because I know that the to be fair, I can attest that the games in the southwest, the southern one, being over by Oxford, it was horrible weather here on Sunday. Horrible. Good on OBU and Chichester for getting that game played, because it sort of calmed down by 3. But that Lancers Brighton game kicking off at 11:30. Oh, there was no way. There was no way that game was gonna it could have been played, but it would have been 0-0 weather game, all runs. So yeah, strange that that's the first game I've ever had to not do. That I've scheduled to do. Yeah. So we're going to get into it for week 6. We're going to go down the scores from around the league. So in the National Prem, Loughborough fall to Nottingham Gold 41-7. Leeds Beckett get some points on the board against Durham 64-6. Northern Premiership, NTU shut out the Raptors 35-0. SGS shut out Birmingham 40-0 in the Southern. Heriot Watt and Edinburgh Napier put on what probably was the game of the week, 49-33 for the Napier Knights. The Mavericks lose to the Klansmen by 1, 15-14 in the big game. Big, huge game. Mustangs beat the Uclan Rams at 26-13. We're going to get into this one, as I'm sure that you know about MMU and Manchester and some whatever's coming out of there. We'll slightly get into that one. 34-24 to the Tyrants over the MMU Eagles. Nottingham Green beat the Hull Sharks 27-3. Coventry University Jets beat the Leicester Longhorns 12-0. Madness. Bristol Barracuda beat Southampton 7-0.
And they're saying there it was 14-0 to Coventry, not 12-0.
Was it?
Yeah, apparently.
In that case, I will change that. Sorry, lads. Yep. Okay, 14-0 to the Jets over the Longhorns. Let me change that. Yep, Swansea get shut out by Bournemouth, and Southampton lose 7-0 to Bristol Barracuda. I think you had Bristol, didn't you? Yeah, you did.
Yes,
I didn't.
I predicted that. 14.
Sorry, lads, let me do that. And also UCL shut out the Essex Blades. I think it was 38-0. On to D2. Sunderland beat York St John 52-14. Derby beat DMU 38-0. Oxford Brooks dominate again, 68-0 against the Spitfires. Sussex beat Royal Holloway 24-8. QMBL beat Canterbury 52-0, and the Mariners and the City Wolfpack go to a 12-12 draw. So, and they were annoyed that we didn't pick that game. So, to be fair, doesn't actually matter.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to get straight into it. Mustangs beating Uclan, missing 3 offensive starters. Pretty mad. I heard that Seth O'Coin, the other O'Coin brother, was one of them. So,
do we know why? I mean, I don't know why. I'm assuming you know why.
Here's the thing. I'm very much happy with this scoreline, given that I'm very much excited to go and stream that game in a couple of weeks. That it wasn't a blowout. From what I could gather, it was fairly close going into the half. Again, from what I have been told, but it looks pretty good. I don't think it's undoable for Uclan, but you have to give props to the Mustangs for being able to beat Uclan and with everything that Uclan has to offer, and also who you brought in. Obviously, like we don't know that right now. Hopefully, we'll get a bit more information going into the live stream on the 8th. But as it stands right now, impressive from the Mustangs. But that showdown next week, I worry slightly that the Mustangs having the Tyrants this week, whilst Uclan have a week off, could obviously benefit Uclan hugely. But it depends, just because of how much the Mustangs were able to beat the Tyrants by in week 2, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends on depth, really, to me. I know when we played Uclan, we lost to them still, but they didn't have a big squad, even by Brit Ball standards.
But I think that was because Uclan at the end of the season, even Uclan will attest to this. When they tend to lose people, it just tends to the train starts to fall off the tracks.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that Uclan won't have got that problem right now. But it's definitely something to look out for come the end of the season, because over the last 2 years, Uclan have had that rocky road at the end of the season 2 years ago, making them forfeit games. And last year, obviously, not saying that Derby weren't a fantastic team, but I really did think that Northumbria versus Uclan was going to be the final game, but Derby obviously beat Uclan. I forget the score. I should know the score because I did the whole big post on it. But they did. But yeah, so that's. I think we've discussed that game pretty soundly. Let's talk about the Scottish one, because the Scottish one's a real division. With I feel like we have been sat there going, oh, it's just Scotland because of how chaotic it was last year, but it's actually really good because Edinburgh and Napier are doing fantastically. Stirling, despite losing to Napier, are still fairly decent. I personally don't think you can count out the Mavericks. I think this weekend's game with the Mavericks against the Glasgow Tigers could potentially catapult Edinburgh into something else if they're able to defeat Glasgow. But then Harriet Watt is also there doing fairly decent sports. I love Aberdeen, but Aberdeen seems to be the odd one out here. And I think that, come playoff time, we may see a few teams. We're going to see a lot of travel from Scotland and to Scotland.
Yeah, you know I mean? And that's obviously the annoying part. Having to go to Scotland's got to be like the worst part of anyone, really.
You've had to go to Glasgow, haven't you, for playoffs?
No, I wasn't there for that.
No, you weren't.
Before me.
Gross.
Thank God. So if only UWS were here to see it, the rise of Scotland.
That's the best part, is that Cam knows to bring up the so I can point to this £25 waste of money that I have hanging behind me.
You got that.
I was so happy I got it, and just no one found it funny.
I found on eBay, and it's just the UWS jersey.
Yeah.
So they've got no use for them.
I can't believe that they did it. I can't believe that someone sold that. Someone Fraser, number 44.
No one's got use for it.
Mate, you're something you don't want a UWS fan jersey. You're so boring. But it's actually an actual division, like Stirling.
Yeah.
Once again beating Edinburgh, but fairly closely. You could turn around and say Edinburgh are looking shaky, but I don't even think that that's the case.
I still think it's Napier's division, though, at the end of the day.
Which I think, if you would have said at the start of the season, I forget someone has picked Edinburgh and Napier to win. Is it you?
It might have been me, because I knew nothing about the Scottish divisions. I'm going to check.
Because the thing is that like Edinburgh and Napier were a good shout. I think in my preseason rankings, I had Napier to make the playoffs, but to be at the top of it, potentially going into Christmas. Let's see if they've got a game this week. No, I think it might just be Edinburgh and Glasgow. It is just Edinburgh and Glasgow.
Yeah.
I think it's very surprising because it seems that some of those teams that came up from D2 without winning it, which are Napier, Aberdeen, and UWS, technically, it was. Is this rub of basically being a D2 team that was promoted for having it gonna last, and is it going to be a struggle for them? And it seems to be that Edinburgh and Napier have been able to wipe the slate clean, but they were always fairly decent sides going up to D1 and coming back down. But it could be interesting. Like I can definitely see like they're making a deep run for the playoffs, and it's more so it's a shame that someone from that Scottish one in that top four is probably not going to be making the playoffs. But I can see three of them taking it, and I worry that unfortunately Tim Dillon, who is 5'2", it might not be Harriet Watt.
You might miss out on it. Chat saying Napier versus Aberdeen this week.
Is it? Let me add that in then. Awesome. Thank you, guys. The thing is, though, like even that one is,
yeah, it's cut and dry.
Yeah, that one's cut. That one's cut and dry. I think Napier's go over. Again, I think obviously Aberdeen do quite fairly well, but
I mean, who misses out though if three from Scotland make it is the real question.
I worry that it is Harriet Watt, but also it wouldn't surprise me if it's the Mavericks.
It could be either.
Yeah. Let me go Scottish one. Edinburgh Mavericks, Aberdeen. I don't know who's at home or who's away, so we're just going to firm it for now. Bulls versus. I'm just going to put Napier Knights.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm happy that it is like an actual division, and I wish that I'd cover it more, but it's Dylan doesn't come on the show anymore. Rest in peace. But I do get updates on what's actually going on, and it's just looking fairly tight when you've got some of these divisions that aren't.
Yeah.
Because like the Midlands one, I worry sometimes when I see some of these Nottingham Green scores that it's not as cut and dry, but I feel like it is because Hallam have disappointed me by losing to Leicester. That I think it is going to be the green, and again, if it is the green, good on them. But
I think it will be.
I think it will be as well, but it's not as. I think it's just because it's not as like chaotically flashy as Scotland, or as sort of not cut and dry, but having these two new powerhouses in the Northern one. That the Midlands is just sort of it's the Midlands, and like so the shine for the Midlands is sort of more, or from our end anyway, directed towards the bottom of the table.
Yeah,
opposed to the top of the table.
You've got a lot of teams there that have somehow survived being relegated for multiple years now. Like, every year they've somehow weaseled their way out of. Well, that's you had last season where Hull and Coventry both got saved. You had the season before where Hull themselves got saved because of the rejig with Scotland.
Yeah,
like it's
like it is that case where you've got two teams who have been like saved, and like they're battle. But if we move on to that one, Coventry beating Leicester 12-0.
Yeah,
goes 14-0. Sorry, guys, 14-0. Goes a long way for Coventry staying up.
I think they stay up now. I don't see a world now where even if Hull beat them in the return, I don't think Hull beat Leicester. I don't think Hull beat Nottingham. I don't think Hull beat Sheffield Hallam.
This is it though. The X factor in this becomes Leicester, because Leicester are practically already safe because of that win over Hallam. And I don't think that Hallam are going to be relegated. I don't think that's too much of a controversial statement to say. But Leicester becomes the X factor because like Hull need to beat Leicester and Coventry to stay up. But as it stands right now, Leicester beating Sheffield Hallam, whilst I thought it was impressive at the start of the season, turns out, sorry Sheffield Hallam, wasn't that impressive. But it's still there. It's still
the
up
question.
there.
the question for me really becomes who comes second in this division. Is there a world where Coventry comes second in the Midlands?
You imagine? Can you imagine the scenes? I tell you what, I like. It makes me want to go and stream a Coventry game. So next,
you never thought you'd say that at the start. Of the
no, I didn't. No, I'll put it up. I will put it choice. No hot tub streams. Whoever said that. No. So I'll put it to this. Next second half of the season, Coventry. If you're watching, I know some of you are, and you want it. Hey, I'm just putting it out there. I will do the return fixture Coventry and Hull if the people want it.
I think I could be free for that fixture. I can't lie.
That'd be a great fixture to go and do just for the just
implications.
Implications.
That could be the game that clinches playoffs for Coventry.
Oh my god! Could you imagine? Could you imagine? I would love to. Hold on, I just want to ask the people: Is the next Coventry Hull game in Coventry or is it in Hull? I think it's in Coventry. Someone let me know. Someone let me know in the comments because I'm not travelling to Hull.
Portsmouth versus Birmingham looks like a game.
It is a great game. It is a great game. Obviously, it's like the shine is sort of taken off somewhat because of Birmingham sauce. It's in Hull.
It's in Hull. Oh yeah.
No, I'm not doing that. Now. I will come and do a Coventry game, but I'm not doing that one. If it's in Coventry, I'll do it, but I'm not driving to Hull. That's on the opposite side of the country to me. As much as I love the banter, nah, I'm not doing that to my car. Yeah, like
it's in Hull on Super Bowl day.
Oh, absolutely zero. No, absolutely not. Absolutely no. I'm not being in Hull for the Super Bowl. You can grow up.
No, I think that's last game of the season, isn't it?
No, there's one more week. It's because you've got ARU the week after.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was that week or week after.
No, you got one more week. Got Green in 2 weeks. No, this half of the season I'm already booked up. Next half of the season.
Hallam and Cov. Ooh.
What's the date on it? Our last. Okay, what? Give me the date on that, and I'll see what I can do. We're trying to sort out business. You need to stream more Birmingham games. To be fair, that is fair. To be fair, it's more so with Birmingham is that we weren't entirely sure if Birmingham were sort of open to us coming to Birmingham to stream games. It's only been this, halfway through the season that, Birmingham were like, hey, we want you to come and do this. So, you know what? I think, well, give me dinner zero. That's a fair comment. I'll let you have that one. That's a completely fair comment. Birmingham have been. All right. Okay. We're going to keep talking about this week. So we've spoke about the Midlands, Northern. Do we want to touch on MMU versus Manchester?
I think we've got to. Like, you can't have something like that happen and not touch on it at all. It's
a bit strange. Like, I'm not one to sort of. I'm trying not to be as judgmental, but if people haven't seen, there's like there's like a video of the MMU Eagles having a crawl off the sideline. If you look at the comments under the score post. Realistically, it's again, I don't know about the coach in MMU. I don't want to slag him off, but realistically, it's just quite bad optics.
Yeah, it's quite not bad the best optics. Look. In behind closed doors at training, there's things you can do, and doing it in front of the team you've just lost to is a bit of a,
and especially like it's like that's a good scoreline from MMU. Like if you look at we thought 2nd of Feb. Interesting. Like if you look at it, like MMU are doing much better than anyone thought they'd do. I think they've got LJMU this week, which realistically, if they win that again, MMU are safe, and that's a good step forward for MMU. But that's just it's just bad. It's just bad optics. It's just bad optics. It doesn't.
It just really isn't the best look.
No, it just isn't like I feel bad for the players. I don't know what I don't know what the coaching situation is like. I don't know any of the coaches up there, but yeah, just not a good look.
No.
Moving on to the Southwest one, we're going to get into it really quickly. Cam's not even going to talk about it. Let's get this. I'm going to give you a stat line, right? And this is the only stat line I'm going to give you for this fucking division. The entirety of the Southwest one, bar Bournemouth, have scored a total of 47 points. Bournemouth this weekend scored 47 points. That is the end of the conversation. UCL beat the Essex Blades 38-0. Obviously, like whatever's happened with UCL seems to have been resolved by now. There's not much to really talk about it. They've shut out Essex. Looks to me now, Essex Blades' fate is sealed. It looks like they're going to be the one. They're going to be the one that are going to be tasting relegation from that division. UCL looking good. I'm still interested to see what KCL are going to do. There's a lot of interesting stuff, especially because KCL take on UEA this week. I think that's going to be a very interesting one. I think KCL win that. They're the 100% the favourites to take the Southeast one. But yeah, Essex Blades, I think it's going to sound really bad. I think they're probably the favourites to be relegated right now. Out of everyone, and that includes LJMU. And it pains my heart slightly to have LJMU go down, and I don't know why. I think it's because they were funny last year. D2, we have sort of spoken about it a bit. There's not too much. Obviously, Sunderland beating YSJ is good, but Sunderland losing to Sheffield. Again, Sunderland aren't really in that promotion conversation anymore. The big thing to come out of the Northwestern 2 going into this week is York Centurions finally are going to play their first game of the season, which is mega for them, like absolutely.
So proud of them.
That's just mental. So good. Good on York. It's going to be interesting to see what they do. But Sunderland losing to Sheffield, interesting. York St John, still good. Derby beating DMU. Saw that one coming. Yeah, not a massive one. Derby maintain their dominance. Oxford Brooks. Let's be honest. Oxford Brooks are a great team. That Southern 2 is looking spicy with them, Sussex and Surrey. 68-0 against Chichester. Especially given that weather, good on Oxford to play it. Sussex, again, decent score. Royal Holloway managing to put their first points on the board, but it's still very much that trio at the top of the Southern 2, much like the trio at the top of the Southern 1. Sussex, Surrey, and Oxford Brooks. Going to be interesting to see when those teams meet. QMBL beating Canterbury. Good scoreline for QMBL, but again, Canterbury, Greenwich Mariners and City Wolfpack coming to a 12-12 draw. Realistically, that's not great for either team's promotion chances. No. Given how dominant Kingston have been, doesn't look it's not good. Just not good. Like I'm not sure. Like their promotion chances are awful now. But
a draw's never good. Like
draw's never
realistically, good. If you're going for promotion, a draw doesn't benefit anybody.
No, it's a shame, because Greenwich and City are both good teams. Obviously, I still hold in my heart that City are going to make the playoffs. I do hope so, given last year, but we need to see how it goes. So moving on to week 7, have got some interesting ones in there. Birmingham versus Portsmouth, as we've spoken about, is going to be an interesting one. I think Portsmouth are going pretty decent. Loughborough, Uwe, Leeds, Beckett, Notts, Gold, Newcastle, Warwick, Liverpool, Leeds, Cardiff versus Exeter, Glasgow versus Edinburgh, Aberdeen versus Napier, MMU versus LJMU, Northumbria versus Manchester, Leicester versus Hull. Interesting. That's coming around quick. Brighton versus Brunel, Hertfordshire versus Oxford, Southampton versus Swansea, Bath Killabees versus Bournemouth, UEA versus KCL. In the D2, YSJ versus Sunderland. Wait, no, I must have got that wrong. No, that can't be a rematch. Don't worry about it. That one's not happening. I'll delete that one. York versus Sheffield, which I think is a mega game. Edgehill versus Staffordshire. DMU Cambridge. Gloucestershire versus UE2s. Canterbury versus Greenwich. QMBL versus City. There's some interesting ones in there. There's definitely some interesting ones in there. I think Hull and Leicester, if we look at the sort of bottom of the Midlands one, is an interesting one. But I think it, like in the Prem South, that's probably where you're going to be looking in terms of interesting games. Cardiff versus Exeter is an interesting one, especially given Exeter beat Birmingham by 8, and then Birmingham and Portsmouth. I think Portsmouth are very much the second place team in that division, but Birmingham would love to throw a bit more of a spanner in the works for that one. I'm just trying to look around if there's any narratives I can pluck from the ether. Obviously, Glasgow and Edinburgh, we long-time Scottish rivals, both been in D1 for a while. That's basically their MMU versus LGMU. MMU trying to, their season's pretty much saved, but trying to keep it fairly more saved. Leicester versus Hull, we've already spoken about. Brighton, Brunel. Yeah, Brunel.
Yeah.
Oh God, the thing is though, because there's only two of us, like we're going to get to our picks, and like there's in terms of games to really discuss.
It's very cut and dry this week.
No, I don't. UEA versus KCL. Let's just get into that one.
Oh,
let's get into it. KCL are on a bit of a run now. UEA having lost to Kent. They didn't win the division last year. I forget. Kent won the division last year, but UEA were definitely in that bracket. I think KCL win this game. They are the favourites for the Southeast. Like,
yeah, they've got to get through UEA though first. It's
not. Don't get me wrong. Like, that's not a cut and dry one. There are some proper cut and dry ones. That is not one of them. But otherwise,
I think Staff's Edge Hill's a good game.
Staff's Edge Hills is a good game, but it breaks my heart. No, I think Edge Hill. We'll get into the picks, but I don't know about this game because, just because of Lancaster and how much I've sort of, I've fully put my
eggs in one basket.
I've put my eggs in one basket. That's exactly what I mean. I've put my eggs in one basket, so I can't be saying I like professional credibility. I've got to go Lancaster. Whatever's best for Lancaster.
I mean, the thing is, we were all high on Lancaster coming into it. The issue was you were just way higher.
I'll put it like this. I'll put it like this. Like I definitely will get myself some Lancaster Bomber merch for Christmas just because I feel like I have to now. But this thing, I'm still impressed with Edgehill and Staffordshire, but it's just I just know that I have to stick with what I said in the preseason. I can't go back on it. Lancaster. So I think I want Staffordshire to win that one.
I think Staffordshire winning is better for Lancaster, obviously.
Yeah, and this isn't a pro Lancaster stream, but I think any stream that I'm on's a pro Lancaster stream, I guess. Gloucestershire versus UE2s, which is the game I will be at.
I can't predict UW2's game because on paper you think they should be Nottingham Green.
Well, this is it, right? Richie, you should look at the last two games. You should look at it for these two teams. Gloucestershire lost to Worcester, not good for Gloucestershire. Obviously, great for Worcester, but not good for Gloucestershire. UE Bullets losing to Plymouth. UE2s now have to look at the Blitz and say we need the Blitz to lose before they win, right? They obviously need to win, but they need the Blitz to lose as well. Gloucestershire, all Gloucestershire has to do is win out. But given that you lost to Worcester, it's not
going to happen. They're not going to win out. The issue with UW2s is on paper they should be so much better than what they are. You look at Notts Green and how good they are.
The thing is that the game with Plymouth was close. Bullets could have easily won that game, but that was the most important game of their season, basically, because realistically, because of that loss to Worcester, Gloucestershire, you could sort of look at them and go, maybe we can't factor them in anymore.
I mean, as long as they have jerseys for the game, that's all that matters.
Yes, but then who's it? But then because Worcester lost to Aberystwyth, you could sort of potentially look around and go, you could put Worcester to the side. So realistically, for me, that division in the Southwest 2, the game that is probably going to give us the winner is probably going to be Aberystwyth versus Plymouth.
Yeah, and I think that comes through with Plymouth. Yeah.
It's a very, very interesting one, just based on where they line up, because could Gloucestershire still do it? Yes, but they need to win out. Aberystwyth and Plymouth are still in that position to take it.
Yeah.
So, are we potentially looking at this game being basically a game for a playoff spot? Probably, maybe even. We don't know.
Yeah.
I mentioned to do it. Obviously, it's the old squad. I don't know anything Gloucestershire in it, but it was I'm interested to see what it looks like, because I think both teams are now desperate to win, and that's what I think is going to make that an interesting one.
Yeah.
In terms of any other, D2 games, like obviously, I think the winner of the northeastern is going to come out of York versus Sheffield. I really do.
Yeah. No, it will 100%.
But then
obvious top two in their division.
But then how much do you take starting your season number 1 against the toughest opponent and number 2 in week 7?
It's harsh. It's harsh.
To me, that's a detriment. And
absolutely.
And that is not the fault of York or Bucks. No, it's sorry to say, but Bradford leaving,
obviously it sucks.
It's not great because Bradford are a decent team,
Yeah.
So it's a shame, but like that. But this is what it is now. It's York are starting their season against the other team that are the favourites to take that division. It's a very, very difficult one. It's a very, very difficult game for York just because they've had this. Yeah, I know. Whatever. It's just because they've had this long layoff, right?
Yeah, it's a really rough one because 7 weeks of preparation doesn't make up for the fact that you've not had any actual game time for your rookies. Like 7 extra weeks of prepping for a game does nothing at the end of the day because they've never experienced the game.
Well, this is it, right? Is that like York are probably going to be going into this game the most prepped team of all time?
Oh, absolutely.
Like there's no way that they can't. Like they've been able to see Sheffield, but like it's just mad that they've started off. Like I remember I said a few weeks ago that Gloucestershire were the last team to make their season debut. It's not. It's right now. It's not right now, but it's Sunday. So yeah, UEA haven't played for 2 weeks. UCL versus Kent called off. Sorry, Gary. Let's have a look. So in D1, I mean, actually, what am I talking about? There's a spicy game right here. Am I stupid? Hertfordshire versus Oxford.
True. Yeah.
Oxford need to come back. Obviously, they've had a week.
Spicy.
That is spicy. Are you joking?
I don't think it is anymore after how heavily Oxford lost to Brunel. A lot of their credibility is gone for me.
Right. Okay. I will say this now. If Oxford lose to Hearts, they are now a mild team on the Nando Source scale. That I will attest.
I think they lose to Hearts.
Yeah, but that doubt is enough to cast. What's it called? What's the rating system for Spice? Scoville units. There's Scoville units on this game, but I feel like if Oxford lose, then the Scoville, Perry Mayo, regular
exactly
light Mayo,
It's a big game, but at the end of the day, like it's not really like anything crazy to me now.
No. Like if we would have had this game 2 weeks ago, it would be a completely different story. I'm aware.
Absolutely.
But like both teams' seasons sort of branch off from this path with whoever wins, because they'll be the number 2 in the division, whilst that third person is going to be fighting for that wildcard spot come the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I think it's interesting. I think Brighton Brunel, leave that one as it is. Yeah.
Who did Hull play this week?
Hull are playing Leicester. In Leicester.
That's a big game because that does actually have implications.
Yeah, but the implications are Hull need to win, or otherwise they're Dunsky, surely. Like,
exactly, but if Hull win, it's all up in the air then.
No, but I think it's not because Leicester beat Hallam. I think if Hull need to get on a win streak here, if they want to stay up, it's simple as that. In terms of the national Prem games, no, not much really floating around there with bullets.
The main question really is: do Leeds Beckett stay in the national after this season? I think the answer is no.
This is it, right? We're not going to be able to answer that until we know who they're facing, right? Because we've got to wait until whoever wins the Premiership to find out.
Yeah.
Leeds Beckett are going to be able to have that. Well, it's going to be Leeds Beckett, let's be honest. Leeds Beckett are going to have that time to prep, but especially given that Leeds lost to NTU, let's say it is Leeds and Leeds beat whoever is the Southern team, I do think Leeds are going to make the final. For the North. But that is with me saying that. But then, like, even if it's Leeds, you've got these teams that are, that are sort of fallible now with Leeds. And let's say if it's NTU, it's NTU, or if it's Warwick, it's Warwick. Where like the Griffins could do something there, but I feel like
the National League's invite only anyway, so it's kind of a question of does any team warrant an invite to it?
Well, this is it. Like it's more SGS going to do. That's the question, right? That is the question.
Yeah, really. And SGS should have been in the National from day one, really, when you think about it.
Yes. And there are so many reasons that we will not discuss on the live stream. But yeah, like in the Northern, there's not much. Newcastle versus Warwick. Warwick should have that one nice and easily. Leeds should have Liverpool. I don't really. Do you want to do a Q&A? There's not really many people here.
Yeah, I mean, you can do one if you want. Like, I'm more than happy to participate.
One ask for a Q&A, and I'll give you 5 minutes of one.
So I mean, yeah, it's just a question of does any team get an invite over Leeds Beckett, because they won't just cut Leeds Beckett and make it.
Wait, hold on.
There's no way.
No, hold on. Do you not know how it works? Am I going to have to explain this to you?
I thought it was invite only.
No. Okay. It's a different question then. So after the Premiership finals, the winner of the Prem finals challenges the last place team from the National Prem. The winner of that is in the National. That's what I mean.
Okay.
That's what I mean in terms of like it'll be.
So we're going to have some like horrid game watching Leeds Beckett get smacked around by whoever wins the Prem.
But we don't know that. You can't say that by the end of the season that we know that Leeds Beckett, because let's be honest, like Leeds Beckett are currently being beaten by the best American football teams in the country. If they're going up against someone from the Prem who are good teams, I'll get onto that one. Then that should surely say that Leeds Beckett can do it. Why did I put UE over Notts? I literally addressed this in the article points, because let's be honest, Gold beat UE by 1. Yeah. Great game, and Notts fully deserved that win. However, when you look at the points going forward, whilst Nottingham Gold putting on that much against Leeds Beckett is decent, considering that Nottingham you don't really think Nottingham are one of these teams that are going to just completely, bully the points up, right? 84 is amazing, but UE putting 100, you can't sort of deny that is impressive. But for me, it was Nottingham Gold only beating Durham by 10, and then Bullets beating Durham by, I think it was 24, 34, something within that range. For me, that's why, because I'd argue that placement of Bullets over Notts was mainly to do with how good I think Durham are. And I think Durham being able to hold Notts to a 10-point difference, that's impressive. But then Bullets coming over and just going boom on Durham, for me, that's enough for me to go fine. Bullets are at the top. I'm aware that Bullets have got a loss in their win percentage, and Nottingham don't. But I think just being able to beat Nottingham by that much, whilst Nottingham Gold didn't, for me, Bullets are back to number 1.
Yeah, I mean, Gary's just said the team going into the Prem has to commit to all games home and away. I don't think that's the biggest issue for those teams. If you're at the point where you're winning the Prem and potentially going into the National, I think you're at the point where you can commit to playing 8 games, 10 games a season. I don't think that's an issue at all.
Yeah.
Especially for these unis that are offering scholarships to American footballers. Like, if you're offering scholarships, you have the money to play every game.
Southern Prem predictions. Well, what do you mean? What this week or in general? Because in general we've already done, but for this week, the format of the show means we're probably going to do them now. So yeah, I feel like I got a lot of pushback for that Gold one, and I do understand, because I really, I was really, really holding against putting the Bullets back at number 1.
Well, it's everyone sees the loss in the column and goes, UW have lost. And they did lose. But it's not resounding. It's not they got thumped.
Oh God, no. If Nottingham Gold completely bullied them, then there'd be no question, right?
Absolutely. But it was a game won on deep passes. Like, It was a great performance.
Yeah,
but
100%.
at the end of the day, I think in a rematch, UWE take it. Like they're in form now.
Like I think that Bullets versus Gold game towards the end of the season, that again, like the first one was probably the biggest regular season game of all time.
Understandable for rankings, but take into account Nottingham Gold rotate players a lot. I guess, and that is a good point. UWE, for example, were calling timeouts so they could run the score up to above 100.
That's a good point.
So that is a fair point.
You know what? That is actually quite a good point.
Yeah, that's a good point, and I can take that.
See, but would you still say that during the Durham game? I can understand that during the Beckett game, but the Durham game, I don't know if.
Yeah, but we're not there. We don't know if they've. We don't know if they've rotated. I know.
I'm going to ask some questions to some people in regards to that, but Sinner One World. That's a good point.
To be fair,
that's a good point.
Going off of when we had to play Green last year, and I had to look through both Green and Gold's Bucks team sheets, there was a lot of guys left off team sheets for games, so there was rotation happening.
Yeah, it's a very good point. It's a very good point.
UWE allowed no sacks. What against?
Not a surprise.
I don't.
Against who?
Against who? I'm pretty sure they allowed a sack against Nottingham.
I was going to no, God no. Yeah, I think so. But to be fair, if they allowed no sacks against Durham Saints, that's quite impressive. This is it, right? It's Durham basically. Durham are the X factor in this particular. Had 3. Yes, because Nottingham had 3 starters injured against.
True. To be fair, I did hear on the stream Nottingham were fielding 2 rookies who'd never played before at O-line.
That is mad. Again, like this isn't me. Like this isn't me saying that. Like it's just how rankings work. If I could have, let's say gold at 1 and Bullets at 1.0001, then I would. But that's not.
UWE allowed no sacks against Beckett, whereas Notts did. Yeah, but that's meaningless. Allowing sacks is a completely meaningless. You can't judge, they've allowed no sacks. They're a much better team. It's not how it works.
No, you can have some level of judgment on that.
Not of one stat alone, especially when you're paying that much money to an O-line from Europe. You'd hope there's no sacks against the worst team in the league.
Division.
Yeah, you know what I mean. You know what I mean.
Yes, but no, but this is why I don't mind it, because we're currently sat here and the people in the comments are having an argument about who is number 1, and that's exactly what it should be, and that's exactly what the national Prem has allowed us to do.
He's saying against Beckett, they had different wide receivers starting and linebackers were freshers. No. Being a fresher at Notts is kind of meaningless though, because half of their freshers are GB under-19s players.
You're saying again. This is Cam saying this, but I'm trying to get it back to the point of this is what the national Prem is, right? Is we're able to have this conversation about who is the number 1 team in the country, and it's been going off, and it's not and it's not black and white. It's not. There's shades of grey.
The point's been made about the 2 true rookies. I already brought that up. I'm in complete agreement. Like
that is mad.
Yeah, it's crazy to know that they still beat, especially knowing the D linemen that like UW have, playing alongside one of them. It's a crazy thought.
But again, like this conversation in the chat this is where it's interesting, right? Is because and as much as people for Facebook and YouTube, I can't get it up. I can't get the Instagram. I can't get what? How'd you find out the stats or what happened? Or what happened in games? Unfortunately, Bobo, you have to just ask people. You have to ask coaches and players. Unfortunately, some people put them up on Bucks Play, but we don't know how true they are. We have to just ask. Like that's how I know somewhat of the things that happened in Northumbria, because I asked. So we're going to get onto our picks for this week. Simple as that. It's going to be me and Cam. We're going to put them out later today later this week with everyone there. So starting off in the National Prem, it's Loughborough versus the Bullets. Bullets.
Oh, Bullets.
Yeah. Leeds Beckett versus Nottingham.
I think you can speak for me there.
Yeah. Newcastle versus Warwick. Got to give it to the Wolves.
Yeah, Warwick.
Liverpool versus Leeds.
Yeah.
So this is where it gets a lot more interesting, I think. Cardiff versus Exeter.
I'm going to say Cardiff.
I am going to back Exeter. Can't beat Birmingham. I know it's only by 8, but that's not a good stat. I'm going to go with the Demons. The Lions versus the Destroyers. Destroyers. You're that's a good pick. It's going to be a great game. It's Destroyers. I'm going for the Destroyers. Glasgow versus Edinburgh.
Edinburgh.
Glasgow.
That is a tight division.
It's a tight division. I'm going with Glasgow. Aberdeen versus Napier. Got to give it to Napier.
Yeah.
I've got to give it to Napier. MMU versus LJMU. Could seal the fate of the Fury. I'm taking the Eagles.
I'm taking MMU.
The Mustangs versus the Tyrants.
Mustangs.
Yeah. Leicester versus Hull in a game that could decide Hull's fate.
Leicester.
No, I can't. I can't.
I take glee in saying Leicester.
I'm taking Hull. I'm taking Hull. I'm taking Hull. I'm paid
you for
that. Mate, it's again. I love you, Coventry. Thank you for that. Delusional picking MMU, bro. LJMU's record, criminal.
LJMU shouldn't even.
Hey, say no words. Yeah. We're gonna get Again, Coventry beat Leicester, and I think they shut out Leicester 14-0. I think that poses
Coventry beat Hull, so it's.
But not by that much. I'm going with Hull. Brighton versus Brunel. Got to give it to Brunel.
Yeah.
Hertfordshire versus Oxford. Got to go with Hertfordshire. Got to go with Hearts. Southwestern won.
Fuck cares.
Don't care. Bournemouth beat Bath. Swansea versus Southampton. Southampton by 5. There you go. 0
and 2-0. 1 safety.
5-0. Absolute 5-0 game. I do like LJMU, and I'm very sad that they're in a relegation position. Simple as that. UEA versus KCL. I'm back. I'm on the KCL train. I cannot get off.
I'm going to get a lot of shit if I don't pick UEA, but I'm going to have to say KCL.
I am on the KCL train. You cannot take me off. In the Div 2 Northeast.
This is a good point, though. Apparently, Hertfordshire are playing without their main QB, who's out injured.
I don't know that for a fact. I'm still going to go Hearts.
Yeah.
Listen, Longhorns get Hull. No way they don't. Hull's O-line gets killed. Yeah, you make me want to pick Leicester there. To be honest,
yeah,
might go back. Yeah, you know what? Just because of that comment's inspired me. I'm going to pick Longhorns.
There we go.
Yeah, that's
the right one there.
Yeah, it works for me. York St John. No, that's not right. York versus Sheffield. Great game.
It's just too late in the season for them to have played their first game. Like, it's
I'm going to go with Sheffield as well. Edgehill versus Staffordshire.
I'm going to say Staffordshire.
I'm going to go Staffordshire as well.
Yeah, I'm saying Staffordshire. Just because my D-line coach will hurt me if I don't pick Staffordshire for a game.
DMU versus Cambridge. I am going to go with the Pythons.
Cambridge, yeah. It depends whether their QB's back, because he went off injured against us.
He's back now, probably. I don't know.
I'm assuming he is.
I'm not picking this one, but Gloucestershire versus the UE2s.
UE2s.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. I won't back you on that one. Canterbury versus Greenwich. Greenwich,
yeah. I've learned from my mistake. I won't pick Canterbury again.
QMBL versus City. I think after the performance QMBL put on last week, I'm going to go with the Vipers.
Yeah, I think you carry momentum like that into a game.
Tebs, can you repeat that Staff's pick? Make sure you want to say that right. Staffordshire.
Yeah, Staffordshire, 100%.
Staffordshire. I wonder if there's anything that's I've missed. Oh, just people spamming on YouTube. Yeah, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. We will see you this time next week for the rundown, or on Sunday. I believe we're doing 2 games. I believe we're doing Bath versus Bournemouth, and I'm doing Gloucestershire versus UE2s. yeah, so that is it. We will see you next week. And then how much have we got left? We only got 2 shows left, I think.
Yeah.
2 shows left. That's it. We'll see you next week. Thank you, Cam, for being here. If you're playing this week, stay safe. Play hard. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of a catchphrase to end it on. I can't do it. Yeah, I don't know. Play good football.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
No.